think we are live. Yep, we are coming at you live from Dunder Moose's car. Um, hey guys, it's great to be back. I was very excited to stream again after. I don't think I've done much streaming lately. I've kind of took like a month-long break, so I have no
Where
idea
have you
how many
been?
lately. I went to DaveCon. I took another vacation. Man, I've just not been on social media that much lately.
Well,
And
you were there for
also,
the Dunder Moose
I was, yes. I was
episode.
on I was on Dunder Moose. But more importantly, I have been diving deep into I called it Godstein 2 at first, but I've kind of changed the name. I think I'm pivoting to calling it the Divine Council game or Divine Council 4X. I don't know. I'm kind of like between titles on this. But I pivoted pretty hard to that, and I have been like deep, deep in in like a hyper fixation on this over like the last month.
So
And
instead of like talking about gaming, you're actually doing gaming things. You're
yeah,
playing the
yeah,
game.
yeah, basically, that's the plan. But anyway, so for those who don't know what this concept is, basically, I have been experimenting for the past like year and a half with player created pantheons. Like I had players create gods and then like put them into a big pantheon and basically create the campaign world, and we kind of go from there. So that's what I've been doing for like the past year and a half, as I think everybody knows. I don't think this is any big secret anymore. But more recently, I've been kind of working on like, what are we going to change from Godstein 1 to Godstein 2? And what have I learned from Godstein 1? But I'm really excited today to talk about this. And I did bring these guys on for a reason, um, especially Night Danger, because Night Danger did the same thing that I did, I think.
I think
You
what
called it
I
not
think we're pro.
Godstein.
Yeah, I've been calling it not Godstein specifically because I'm. It's kind of not the exact same thing that you've
Okay.
been doing. It's legally distinct, but of similar purpose.
And Mike has declared the idea dumb and unworkable. Is that correct? Did I get your words right? No?
I,
Okay.
yeah, I just don't know what you guys are thinking. You need to sell me on this because the idea that your players can impact the game in some meaningful way, I don't know. I'm not sold yet. The jury's still out.
You just have to have good players, and it really is that simple. Is don't play with losers or dumb people, and then you won't have. You'll be able to do good things at your table. Like that's all it takes. Um,
So I have a question before we break into the Divine Council, this Godstein 2. Harmony, how many months how many months did the first Godstein play out?
Um, I started it, I think, February 2024, and we are in May 2025, and we are finally
Okay.
ending it. After this
So
long,
like is
it's
that
like finally
15
done.
like
About that,
15 or
yeah.
16 months? Mm. And so when you're saying goodbye to this world and these gods, how was that like transition for the players who have been running the show for the past 15 or 16 months? How easy was it for them to let go and start fresh?
It was a struggle. So they've been playing these gods for a long time, and I kind of pitched it to them about like maybe probably like 7 or 8 months ago. I pitched it to them like, hey guys, you want to start over a brand new campaign and try this again? Because what happened was we had like more and more people entering this, right? It started with like me and a couple of my friends. I think we had like there were 7 of us total, and then we lost a few and we were down to 5, and I was like, this campaign's fizzling out, this isn't going to work. But then people were like, wait, no, no, let's not stop it, I'm going to bring in a friend. And then somebody brought in another friend, and then suddenly we're up to 15 players about 6 months ago, that was meeting like 4 times a week or something. And like people were really really excited about it, and the campaign kept growing. And so they were finally like, hey, what if we tried this again? Except this time, let's make it like a big strategy game, and let's bring everybody in from the very beginning. And so that's kind of what happened there. So I pitched it to them at first, and they were like kind of hesitant. And then the more people were coming in, the more they were like, okay, we want everyone on the same playing field. Like, we want to just try this again and see what happens.
So
Was the idea.
so it was like the second crop of freshmen came into the group, and they wanted to have like a level playing field from everybody else. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah, because
Okay.
it was kind of clear they were coming into a setting and trying to make content to like fit in with the setting, and they're like, what if we just tried this again? And like my players were like, we really enjoyed the world generation, and we have some new ideas, some fresh ideas. So like we kind of just started like, I don't know. I started creating rules for it. And like I'm a huge 4X game person. I love like that's my favorite type of game. And for those who don't know, that means explore, expand, exploit, exterminate, right? Those are the 4X's. It's like civilization, Twilight Imperium. Diplomacy kind of fits into that category, but not really. So that's like my favorite type of game. And so I've been spending the last couple months developing like a full rule set for this, like, because they wanted to get, like, I asked them, I did like a post game survey, right? And I was like, okay, guys, so what did you like? What didn't you like? And I did that like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I can't remember. And they were telling me, we liked it. We had fun. It was too rules light. We want more rules, which is actually an interesting, I don't want to say indictment because I don't think it was an indictment, but it was an interesting, opinion about like the Bronstein stuff that was in, because that was very, very rules light. And the number one feedback I got was like, we want more rules. So I don't even remember if that's what you asked, but
So how did you
yeah.
crunchify it then?
I want to hear about Night Dangers first, actually, because
Okay,
Night
yeah.
Danger did kind of what I did, and I want to hear this because we ran a similar type of campaign, but like I think we had different takes on it, and
Uh,
so
yeah, well, so the first thing is that so I also handed over gods and world creation to my players, and we're still doing that. The difference is we have not actually done any campaign or adventuring sessions in that world yet, as it stands right now. So let's rewind. I'll lay some backstory, explain what it is, and then we can maybe go back and forth on questions about our respective games. The uh, Living Earth Gaming Club, the the only uh, the only truly excellent gaming club online today, uh, is I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe it in my heart. Um, Living Earth, they wanted to do attempt a play by post run of this game called Dawn of Worlds. Now, Dawn of Worlds, you can find the PDF for free online because it was made for and by hobbyists who just wanted to, like, they were these friends. They played this game about like world building, and they shared the rules online it for free. And then Mike, the number one uh, leading champion of Living Earth, decided to take the Dawn of Worlds rules, which is I think it's like I don't know, it's like between like 40 and 100 pages, and condensed it down into a like 12-page PDF. Um, Stripped down, like basically removed all the fluff, removed all the ancillary whatevers, and kind of got the game down to its core premise, which is each character creates a god. They, or each player creates a god rather, and then they have a number of points that they receive each turn that they can spend on actions that their god takes in the world. So every week you get 2d6 points, um, and early on, the early meta for this is that if you finish your turn with 4 points or fewer, so if you actually spend your points, you'll get a permanent +1 to all future turns, up to a maximum of +3. So the early rounds, you're kind of incentivized to spend your points to get that +3 bonus as early on as possible, and then you're averaging about 10 points a week. and most actions cost anywhere from 6 to 15 points, with a couple notable exceptions that we can get into later. And everyone kind of took this in different directions. Namely, they took it, the Living Earth guys took it in a different direction that I did. First and foremost being that the Living Earth guys did not last. It lasted like 3 weeks, a month, I don't know. Then it fizzled out and they lost interest and all decided that the game sucked, and they lacked the constitution to continue on. I made some deviations from how I've historically run patron play, in that instead of taking everyone submitting their orders by a deadline each week and then I process them all simultaneously, we assigned one god per day of the week. So instead of me processing the orders for my gods on Saturday and putting out a big update, I get a text on Monday from my brother of what he's doing, and I post it to the chat. And then I get a text on Tuesday from our buddy Joe, and I post it to the chat, and so on and so forth. And it means that you kind of get this. The first round was a little rough on our one friend because he's last, right? So he doesn't, like, everyone goes before him. But after that, you're kind of just on a continuous wheel where, sure, you could think of yourself as last that week, or you could think of yourself as first in a new week where your action goes first. And that kind of, it reduced the cognitive load for me as a game master, because it meant that instead of trying to set aside a 3-4 hour block of time each week to process all the orders and think about it, it's like 15-20 minutes each day. And that makes it, I think, more manageable from a, because like that's not even an episode of Futurama, you know, like that
Yeah, and it keeps it fresh. You get to play a little bit every day.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that I think it holds engagement better, because it's like every day something new hits the chat. And so Dawn of Worlds runs things in 3 ages, where you have 5 to 10 rounds for age 1, 5 to 10 rounds for age 2, 5 to 10 rounds age 3, and the costs of different god actions changes depending on what age you're in. So the first age, terrain and like world generation stuff, like the actual topography of the world, is much, much cheaper, and the creation of new races is very expensive. The idea being, like, you're forming the world first, and then the and we found a loophole for that kind of violated the spirit of the age, and that's something that we can cover later maybe. But we've been going for a little over 3 months, and we're on like the second or third round of age 2, and I don't know how much story time you guys want from me right now, but a lot has happened. Like a lot has happened. More, and it's revealed things to me about my players that I did not know before. And some of these guys I've been playing with for like almost 15 years. So
that happens with diplomacy games, and rest assured, Night Danger, I am hanging on your every word on this, because you did something similar to what I did, and I've been like, I've been paying attention to people on Twitter sharing their stories of this stuff. But yeah, go ahead. Also, hi Dundermoose. It's nice to have.
Hey Dunder.
Not in a car, Dundermoose.
I'm in a hotel room now.
Very cool.
The acoustics are perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds exactly what we want to hear.
Dunder
for sure.
at his finest.
Oh,
you
man.
are muted, Night Danger, if you did not realize.
My earpiece keeps saying battery low.
If you want me to keep going, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit, I'm going to present. I came prepared with some images.
Oh, yes. All right.
So let me open up there and hit present, share screen.
And how many players do you have?
6 plus me. Now, actually, I'll get to some rule stuff after. Let's take a minute and let's look at some pretty pictures. Where window? There we are. Bingo. All right, can you see that?
No. Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the approximate surface area of the world map that we're working with. I opted for the outdoor survival map at a 40-mile per hex scale, which is very big. I'm aware it's a very, very large thing. But the big thing I wanted with that is I wanted there to be the possibility not just for multiple kingdoms, but actual like multiple regional empires. I wanted there to be room for some really big stuff. A lot of it may not see play at the table per se. I think about the Oran Empire setting for Axe. There's like this entire continent, and there's all these countries off in the distance, and the odds that you actually play there is unlikely. You're probably playing in the Borderlands setting or something like that, which is just a little slice of this much larger world. But because this game paints in such broad strokes, I wanted to give it a large thing. Now, the perhaps the most controversial thing I did was the color choice.
Oh,
For my rendition of the outdoor survival map. When I pitched the game to my guys, I had in my mind's eye this vision of like the Rocky Mountains, these big, huge, jutting, stony mountains, but the rock is like a deep, deep red, like it's on Mars, and everything's covered in like lots of pine, like very few deciduous trees. I had kind of an alien landscape in my head, and I was working on some terrain for my minis, and so I made this call. I know R-Dubs hates it. He's criticized me for this color choice many times, but that's what it is, and I like it because we've got desert, we got a couple swamps here, we've got some forests, some mountains, and I guess the question is do you want to see what happened next, or do you want to know who the gods are?
can I just take a moment to say R-Dubs is completely right? That hurts my eyes.
Sure.
I hate
whatever.
it. But
You know what? That's
just
fine.
the color choice. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I want to hear about the gods.
Okay, so the game is designed to be played without a referee, which is not how we've been playing it. I'm in a semi-referee role, which is to say that I am not allowed to use my god in alliance with any other god, and I'm not allowed to take overt hostile action against another god unless I talk to them and say, hey, I think it would be cool if we had some conflict right now. Like, I'm kind of handicapped from a conflict and inter-god relation perspective because I'm above the fog of war. I know what people are doing. I see what they're doing ahead of time. I know how many points they have, that sort of thing, right? So he gave me that handicap. So I am Et, just E-T, the flesh antecedent, and I had conceived of the god as effectively a creator of monsters. Like, just, I figured I can't get into like the politics of empire and whatnot, so I'm just going to churn out monsters. And then so I post my orders on Sunday at the start of the week. And the other handicap I have is that I have to write down what I'm going to do a week prior. So any response that I have to another player is going to be on a 1 week timed delay. So we have Et, the flesh antecedent, on Sunday. On Monday, my brother is Caliph, the god of the desert, of death, of metamorphosis. And we're going to get to Caliph in a minute. I asked everyone to pick an alignment on just a OD&D law neutral chaotic spectrum. I chose chaos because I'm making monsters, and Hunter chose chaos, my brother, because I don't know, he thought it'd be fun. He'd played a good guy recently. In Jungleberg, he was the church, and he was ready to evil it up a little bit. And he's got kind of an insectoid vibe going on. On Tuesday, we have Vinwode, the god of mirth and madness, the last chaotic god on the roster. He is picture if you took the Greek god of wine, like the revelry guy, Dionysus.
Yeah.
Take Dionysus and Loki and a garden gnome and kind of just stir them in a pot together, and you've got Vinwode. Vinwode's player has been reading Anglo-Saxon poetry and trying to submit his orders in kind of alliterative verse. He's been stealing a lot of like Beowulf aesthetics, which has been really cool to read. There's been some very cool stuff there. On Wednesday, we have my godfather is playing Hjorl, H-O H-U-O with the slash through it. Hjorl, the Mountain Father. He's the only neutral god, and he is the god of mountains, of mostly mountains and dwarfs and secrets. Thursday we have Afeldor, who is the goddess. Not clear. He hasn't specified. The player hasn't made it clear what Afeldor is. But Afeldor is the fairly absent deity of travelers, of comfort, of home. Basically, like if there was a god of hobbits, it would be Afeldor. And unfortunately, he's had a lot going on in his personal life, so his god has been fairly hands-off. There's been a number of missed rounds, but he's just stacking up points. Every week he gets more points, and when when things have stabilized for him, he'll be able to do some big stuff. On Friday,
Come back swinging.
On Friday, we have my buddy who's playing Avalain, the god of the rivers, and kind of a lawful deity of, like, one of the first things he did once civilization kind of was on the table is he tried to create a race that was not like Peter Jackson elves and not like fairy elves, but like good and proper. What's the word I'm looking for?
Keyboard.
Good, like no, like
Sorry.
no,
Santa's
good proper,
elves.
like Silmarillion elves, like hyper noble, advanced. He spent one of the things that you can do is spend more points on the creation of a race to give them various bonuses. So if you want to have them be have a bonus to strength score or improved natural AC or improved movement speed, you can spend points. And when he created this race, he created them with, I think, 5 bonus points put into their inherent alignment to be like super lawful. And my brother, playing Caliph, the god of death, said, well, if I can't corrupt the race, then I guess I'll kill them. And not literally, it would be 3 days after he creates this race of elves and founds a knightly order, and he's going to bring like justice to civilization. My brother genocides the entire race and then creates a new race of skin suit vampires out of their battlefield carcasses.
Dunder, stop.
It's we have and then finally, Dunder Moose, you're gonna kill me here.
I don't know what's happening with Dunder today.
Finally, you have on Saturday, rounding out the week, you have Fuga, which is FGA. This player has a long-standing record of having all of his characters have 3-letter names, and he's running out of combinations. So, anyhow, Fuga is like a lawful god of like the clouds and the sky and thunderstorms, and he created a race of flying magical elves, and yeah, it's been a lot. The other thing what we did is, this is a big deviation from both the Dawn of Worlds rules and how Living Earth played it, is that each week we have a poll, we have a vote on who did the coolest thing this week, and the winner of who did the coolest thing gets 1 turn worth of points, so 2d6, to take a single action as a petty god. I wanted there to be like a big long list of...
Was that directly inspired by what Harmony does with like the winner of the vote gets the like a benefit thing?
Yes, similar, but one of the big things that I wanted is I wanted there to be like you have your major pantheon, you have like your Zeus and your Ares and your Thors and whatever, but then I wanted there to also be just like this. If you look at a lot of mythology, you have just this laundry list of local spirits and ancient heroes and like god figures that show up exactly once and then never again. And so we've generated, well, now almost, I think, 15 petty gods, ranging from the god of mediocre volcanoes to the god of climbing tall objects to the goddess of threes and sevens.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like so. And the nice thing about that is that it means that I have this big long list of small, like less world significant divine figures that I can use for evil cults, secret societies, faction, like minor factions. It kind of it lends a verisimilitude to the world that I don't generally see in a lot of fantasy world building, where it's like I have my 7 gods and they everyone everywhere worships them except maybe some people don't worship 1 or 2 of them, and it's like no, we've got like we got a big list,
It's different.
Yeah, so that's what we've got going on. Now if I'll bring up the map again.
Oh no. Okay.
Bring up the map again. So this is how it started. I dropped this map on them. We picked our gods. We picked our alignments. And now this is at the very start of age 2. So after 11 rounds of age 1. And here's where we're at now. And there's a lot. There's a lot that's happened here. I'm not going to go into detail about every single little thing. If you guys want, I can zoom in on a particular feature and tell you about it, or I can just do like 3 or 4 examples and then move on.
We can clearly see that the world has been exposed to players.
Yes.
Do one example.
One
Yeah.
example. I think I'll probably pick the first major landmark is right here. This is the Labyrinth of Vinwode. It was one of the first landmarks that we got. Mirth and madness, and he's like, what if there was this crazy labyrinth, and when people went in looking for treasure, they sometimes went insane. And I drew it on the map, just like, yeah, okay, so you put it there in the crook of these mountains, and then I drew it on the map, and then the week after that, I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a 40-mile hex. Is this to scale? And we decided that yes, actually. So basically most of the hex is occupied by this giant labyrinth.
Awesome.
Which I have been generating as a dungeon using Appendix A and Appendix B, wherein instead of 1 square represents 10 feet, 1 square represents 1 mile. So you have these huge wide corridors that you could ride an army through. And anytime I get a result on Appendix A that indicates stairs going down, instead I roll on the random castle generation and put a stronghold of some mystic lord who lives within the labyrinth. I have, which is to say that I call it an uber dungeon. It is a dungeon that is populated with smaller nested, like individual dungeons within it. I think I might slide Barrow Maze in here somewhere. The other nice thing about it is that I have designed the dungeon to be shifting geographically, which is to say it's not the same every time you go into it. Passages shift, passages fold in on themselves. I've got non-Euclidean geometry going on. I've run a couple sessions in it, and it's a lot of fun. It's weird, but I love it.
Oh, sorry. Dunder's shaking his head no. You said Barrow Maze and Dunder's like, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that wasn't done. That wasn't Barrow Maze. My son keeps trying to put his foot in the frame. So
Yeah. So that's I think probably one of my favorite things, because the geometry of the labyrinth is impossible, and you have like corridors that fold in on each other and shouldn't be possible. I ruled that basically seeing the dungeon from an aerial view invokes a saving, like a save versus magic to not go insane when you try to look at it. So because we have flying races, I was like, okay, it's a huge social taboo. Like nobody ever wants to look at the labyrinth from above because you'll go nuts.
Makes total sense.
Gazing upon it, and I don't know. And I think it has potential. I'm looking forward to it because it's right by where most of the cities and civilization are. I kind of see it as probably being a fairly big nexus of early to mid-level adventuring.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Dunder, Mike, I need you to be level with me. Is this what I'm like when people ask me about my game?
I think
I
it's a
don't
little
normally
bit
do
different. He's a special kind of gamer, our Night Danger.
What are you trying to say about me?
We zoomed in on a hex. He's like, all right, hang on. No, I think you speak more on the macro level, but yeah, you guys are both absolute total nerds to let your players destroy your world map like this. Like,
oh, it's been special. We've had gods murdered. We've had races eliminated.
So,
yeah.
you actually said something that might inspire me because I'm getting ready to run something like this. I'm getting ready to run my Godstein 2, or I guess I'm calling it the Divine Council 4X game. And we're starting from a brand new world map. I pitched the same map that you had, the outdoor survival map, to them. I was like, this is going to be your starting map. And they all looked at it, and you know what they said? They were like, there aren't any oceans. It's too square. We need more terrain types. I don't like this.
You see, dude, I had some similar concerns from some players, and I just said, too bad. I just created the chat, and I said, hey, we're doing some experimental gaming here. We're going to try something new. Anyone who wants in gets in. And the very first message in the group chat that I made for this game, just a Facebook group chat, the very first message is that map. I'm like, here's the map. If you just don't ask permission, then you don't have to let the players sign off on things. Players deserve less.
Players deserve less.
And so if you can just say no. You can just say no.
Yeah, but I didn't. I was like, okay, you guys are right. We should have a different map. So I'm about to stream my Discord and show you guys what I did for the map recently. I'm sorry. We all knew that this was going to be the Night Danger and Harmony show. I'm very sorry, Mike and Dunder. I hope you don't hate us. Let's see. How do I stream my Discord? Explain to me like I'm 70. Someday I'll figure it out. Here, let's just stream my entire screen. What could go wrong? All right. So I made a bunch of maps for my players, right? And I had them vote on which we want to use, right?
That's a lot of water.
Yeah. Well, we wanted a lot of water, and I ended up, ignore the memes, I ended up like with something like this is going to be our
cancel
map
her for the
Godstein
memes.
2. They were good memes. But it looks like this is kind of going to be what we're using for Godstein 2, as voted by the players. And yeah. So I have, they haven't gotten their domains yet, but what we're doing is we're doing a domain draft. So these are the 33 domains. I expanded it to 33 domains for next time. We have Arcana, Beasts, Beauty, Blood, Chaos, Commerce, Cosmos, Craft, Darkness, Death, Earth, Fire, Flora, Frost, Hearth, Knowledge, Life, Luck, Might, Ocean, Order, Peace, Prophecy, Spirit, Strife, Tempest, Time, Travel, Trickery, Twilight, Vice, Virtue, and War. And we have like 33 of them, right? So what I did was I like put my players in like a random order. I used a randomizer, put them in a random order, and I was like, okay, you're all gonna choose one domain, and we're gonna go down and then back up and choose your second domain. Settlers of Catan placement rules, basically. So it's
So different than the first time, right? Because the first time it was randomly generated.
Yep. First time we drew 3 and picked 2. This time we're just going down the list and people are choosing, and then we're going back up the list and people are choosing again. I have 15 players on this, so they'll each get 2 domains, and it's not going to be their first choices. I actually have one guy who is running a countdown. They're like 16 hours until the domain draft right now, so I'll
So
just
whose
stop
first
streaming
round
in
draft pick do you
Discord.
think? The God of War, maybe, or
I think the guy who's second is taking War. I think the guy who's first is taking Beasts. Beasts is like the heavily contested one because my players all love animals. They're all like dog people. And they're like, I want to be the god of dogs, like all of them. That one and like weirdly, Ocean is very competitive too.
Well, what if there was multiple gods of dogs and they were of different? So you have the god of Jack Russell Terriers, who is different than the god of pugs, who is different than the god of Rottweilers. Um,
My ear trumpet has been struck by lightning. Thank you for the $5. What about gods having multiple identical domains, like multiple gods of war? We tried that last time. I actually had, I did have replaceable domains, so more than one person could get the same one. This time we're, like, that was a complaint I had last time. Like, they didn't like people with the same domain. They were like, my god feels less special. So this time I expanded the domain list so everybody could be a special snowflake, and there would be no stepping on toes this time. And yeah. We're gonna try that this time. We'll see. Bye,
when
Dunder.
I told my players to pick domains, I made it clear that I said just pick like some loose vibes, because what you're the god of may drift as the game progresses, because I knew that if we're only doing 1 round per week and there can be up to 10 rounds per age and up to 3 ages, then we might be like 6 to 8 months before we're done this game, right? And in that time, the actions you take in both are going to change and shift. And so it's like, let's not nail down your identity. Like, I really thought that I was going to be kind of the Satan of the world. I was going to be like the Lord of monsters and evil. And my brother just blew me out of the water in the evil department. I can't keep up with him. And so I've been shifting my vibes away from evil and chaos, because and he's been leaning harder into it. And so if we had, I felt like if we had picked our domains right out the gate, we might have felt constrained to not go with like the direction of the way the world was flowing.
Dunder either has a very bright idea or is ascending. Right? So I don't know which it is.
if he gets in the shower next, I'm leaving. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's over.
Dunder's not gonna say a word this entire show and steal it. He's gonna be the star.
He's
without saying anything.
he's he has a Subdeacon K. He has a quest to give.
A little glowy light above his head. Yeah, we need to click on him.
Subdeacon K there, that's one of my players. He's the only neutral god in the game. He's the god of the mountains, and also the only person at our table who has been well, no, that's not true. I have as well. But of the players, he is the only one who has been drawing his stuff instead of generating AI slop to represent his stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have exactly one artist in my group and a handful that understand how to type a prompt. Yep. So.
Oh, Hotel Dunder, bad Wi-Fi.
Here we go.
Yeah, that's.
Here we go.
You know, this is always going to be a low-key show. This is just us enthusing about our campaigns.
Yeah, well, so I want to know, with your game, when you say that you've gotten
guys, sorry to interrupt. I feel like I'm being a distraction this episode. Also, the
Dunder,
Wi-Fi.
it's okay. You're out with your family. We can't hear you.
We can't hear
you. We
you.
have no idea what you're saying. It's gone. Dunder, you're out with your family. You should spend time with them, and you've been great.
It will be much more worthwhile than hearing me
Yes.
zoom in on hexes and tell you about my game.
Have fun with your family, Dunder. You're good.
If Dunder hops in the shower,
I think he said
we're going
goodbye,
members
so-
only.
I think
See ya.
so too. We'll see though.
All right. But
you
sorry,
were-
with
yeah.
your game, how have you handled, like, when you receive, um, does every god take an action every week, or are you
So
just once?
no, no.
Okay.
Um, so it kind of depends because we have the world generation phase and then the campaign phase.
Okay.
During the world generation phase, they take 6 actions a week, and then during the campaign phase, they take 1 action every couple months. So it really
Okay.
slows down. There's 2 distinct phases of the game, is what happens.
Yeah, I've been wondering about what we're
Yeah.
going to do when we actually get through to the end of the third age and the Dawn of Worlds game is complete. Do I continue to have the gods take actions, and how frequently? And
So what I do is I kind of say, 3 months is a turn, really, and then during that we have 3 elections, and whoever wins the election takes a major magical action. They can all take kind of another action as well, which can be like, which isn't like a major thing, but it can be like, do we want to invade somewhere or bolster our defenses here? What are we doing? Like, what are the people doing? But the god only gets like 1 action every 3 months, basically, or when they're elected. It's kind of a weird, rough system. Like I said, I'm going much more rules heavy, starting in a couple days. So,
yeah,
I have a question then. So the answer is probably going to be, or maybe the question is going to be a little bit different for both of you. But Night Danger, do you allow your players to DM in this world? And Harmony, how long will it take before you open up the game for multiple DMs?
so we will go through the world generation phase. So that's going to be basically the campaign generation. That's the 4X style game, the setup. We're going to go through that. And I don't really want other people to DM during that. That takes probably about a month. I'm not going to have anyone else GM anything during that because there's a lot of secret information, and that one is run much more like a 4X strategy game. But then when we reach the end of that, then we swap to 1-to-1 time in a living world. And at that point, we have 4 weekly games. And I'm going to say, all right, guys, I'm going to run 2 of these games. And then the other 2, it's up to you. Two other people are running because I'm not running 4. So,
Right. So not out the gate. You're going to do a little
yeah.
bit of cultivation, build the setting, and then
Yeah.
just let them run loose. Yeah.
when we switch from a 4X game, because like that game is not like 1-to-1 time. That game happens like, oh god, if it was 1-to-1 time we wouldn't be done for a couple thousand years. But that one like runs for it covers like the first couple thousand years of the setting. And it's just sort of like a civilization style game, and then we stop and then we run in 1-to-1 time. And when we do that, anybody can DM who wants to. Easy.
So if there's more than 4 sessions in a week, that's good, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe
sure. I
maybe they
mean, I'm
just want to
not
like
running
run one
them.
game, that's it.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I have 15 players, and they meet on different days. We have 4 weekly game meets. And basically anyone's kind of allowed to come to any of them. We have like some drifters who will go to like 2 or 3 of them, and you never know when they're going to show up. But like those are the 4 times that games are run. If some group wants to branch off and create a 5th, be my guest. But basically, this whole experiment is to try to build a campaign world. Like I said, this one's going to be a lot more rules heavy than the last one. I took some inspiration this time from Amber Diceless, which is not a rules heavy game, but it actually had
some would
something
even
really
say it's
cool
barely
that I
a game
wanted.
at all.
Yeah, well,
I would be
I
there. I agree with that.
so there was one thing I really liked about it, though, that Crom pointed out, and that was that it allowed for very quick combat, and I liked the system for a Bronstein style game. So I was inspired by that, and I took a little bit from that. And then I also am taking a lot of the kingdom management stuff from Axe. So it's like I don't even know if this is like D&D anymore because it's like just this amalgamation of like 4X stuff, domain play, and a campaign. And the last one just ended, and the greatest thing about the end for the last one, of course, when the players know a campaign's ending, they're like they've all been hoarding resources, right? So like suddenly everything goes to hell at once. They're all throwing resources at each other. I like they're all fighting. They're all just it's getting crazy in the last campaign world. And what happened was one of the cities got like pulled out of the ground, and there was like a lot of resources like put into making this city like go to space because I don't know. So the idea was they wanted the city to go to space so that it could like crash land in the next campaign world or something, because they're like we want some characters to like transcend this world to the next one. So I'm thinking what's going to happen with that is there's going to be like this 50-year time skip, because there are like a dozen characters from the last game on that arc, right? I'm thinking there's going to be like a 50-year time skip, and then they might crash land on the next world, and they're not going to be playable characters, but they'll be like the seasoned adventurers, domain, faction leaders, things like that, like the Elminsters or whatever of that setting. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But man, it was a crazy idea. So
Very strange that you had that happen in your game. I had the same thing effectively kind of occur, where I had created this race of four-armed psychic frog people. And I was planning for them to be kind of like one of your evil, like orc style races, right? And I had them in kind of a rigid caste structure of like warriors and scientists and priests and whatever. And I got the idea that actually Subdeacon K had dropped a meteor of adamantine, like star metal, in the world, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna use that, and we're gonna start building a spaceship. Like they're gonna try and get to space, because I thought it'd be very funny to have evil, like space, like a evil space Nazis from the moon arc happen during the campaign, but they're all frogs. I thought that would be really amusing to include in the world, because I think that evil frogs from space is a great thing to bring on the players. And it was Vinwode's player who I told him, I was like, yeah, I think this is probably what I'm going to do, and he's like, can you please not, because he'd like it to kind of stay more in the medieval, less gonzo, less science fantasy. We've been playing the Ultraviolet Grasslands by Luca Reyes recently, and it's very science fantasy. And so he's like, I just want something a little bit more grounded. And I said, well, I've already put all this work in building up to this like space program. And so we kiboshed it by having the rocket ship fly over the Labyrinth, and the pilots go mad from seeing the Labyrinth from above and crash the rocket into a mountainside. So now I have a dungeon location of a crashed rocket site with all this weird tech, and but while still keeping the sci-fi elements toned out. I find it weird that both games had we should send a city into space arc. Space is just something. It's something.
So I think that started with us once they realized that this campaign world was temporary and we were going to take what we learned from this game and transfer it to another game.
They want to keep their guy.
Yeah, they were just like, okay, we want to have an effect on the next world now, so we're going to build an arc, and we're going to argue for 3 months over who's paying for it. That's how it went. But anyway, so they're like, my group is like really excited, and I'm like trying to go through and make sure everyone understands the rules at this point, because I said I took a lot from Amber Diceless, but I took the bidding system from Amber Diceless, the stat bids. That's what I wanted, because I thought that was a really cool way of doing it, because I wanted to make combat where it could be adjudicated without me or without the players. So if I knew combat was going to occur and I couldn't get a response, I needed to be able to adjudicate it, and I also need them to be able to adjudicate it without me. But what I really liked about it, like Amber Diceless has this system. I'm like, this is gonna get like really deep into the weeds. I'm so sorry.
This is the nature of this show, so just get
okay.
in the weeds. Do it.
It has this system where like players bid like attribute points on 4 different stats. I don't remember what the Amber Diceless stats were because I changed them for my game. I changed them to Warfare, Magic, Psyche, and Creation. And that may or may not be almost the same as the Amber Diceless stats. I don't remember. I don't remember which I changed. But so
I don't think Psyche was in there.
I think no, Psyche was. I think I made Creation, but
Yeah.
I made I made the stats kind of work for my game, but instead of like a public bid as Amber Diceless tells you to do because that's not intended to be like a competitive game at all. I am doing blind bids, so they're just going to bid points into stats and like hope they get what they want. So we'll see. But I wanted to use that. That way, like, so basically what we'd have is like we have 15 players, so someone would be ranked number 1 in Warfare, someone would be ranked number 15. 15 is high, 1 is low, and then there's going to be one player in between that. And like Amber Diceless doesn't like have any dice by the nature of it, and so one thing I did when I modified Amber Diceless was I gave it dice, so it's no longer diceless. It's not
Amber
amber.
dice.
So well, yeah.
Amber dice.
So I took away the diceless part of Amber Diceless, and I took away the amber part of Amber Diceless, so it's just like dice. So anyway,
And you're using 5e still, right?
for yeah,
For
kind of.
the campaign portion, yeah.
It's like really up in the air. I don't even think you could call it 5e anymore. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's like mostly 5e with some AD&D rules and with like a couple axe rules and like it's kind of become our gaming club's thing. And like the raw people are gonna hate that, but and see, I'm a raw people and I kind of hate explaining it, but you know, here we are. But anyway, so I modified Amber Diceless and made it neither Amber nor Diceless, but kept the bidding system and called it Amber Diceless. So anyway, everyone's bidding on their stats and they'll have their domains. And the great thing is all their character sheets are hidden. So like if you're like the lowest in Warfare, your big protection is that nobody knows that you're like the lowest in Warfare. So I added kind of a bluffing element to it. And I'm hoping that that carries a lot of the diplomacy. We will see. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing for the attributes, which there's a lot more to it than that, but I don't want to lose people too much, and I don't want to become Night Danger.
But I got to pass it over to Night Danger because I
Yeah.
asked him about whether or not he
you
lets
did, and
his
I stole it.
players run any sessions.
Now, I just want to just go on record and say that Harmony has been like asking me at every opportunity that she wants to hear about my game, and then the one time
She
I never talk
dogs
about my
all
campaigns.
over
I never
you,
talk
bro.
about like, oh, let me tell you about my player character. I never do that. And the one
Just
time I
shitting
do
on
it, and
you.
now she's just crushing my spirits here.
I don't
How
know what's
dare
going
you?
on.
I thought
But
this was
she's
a safe
she's kind of
environment.
Harmony Danger in this episode though,
Harmony
because like
Danger.
she's coming
Ooh.
off.
Uh,
a
I like
little.
it. I like
that's,
it.
No,
I'm
this is
sorry.
this
yeah,
is cruel and unusual. But sorry, so you had a question for me there, Mike.
Yes.
About will I be having other people run in this world? Am I remembering that correctly? Well, so hopefully that's what I would like. I would like for that to happen. Initially, when we started, we were planning on running this in OD&D. So whenever players pitch like race creation to me, I always like I base the cost for the math of calculating how many points it will cost to make a race off of relative ability according to OD&D. So it's like, well, that's equivalent to a 3rd level spell in OD&D, therefore I'd say that's 3 points or whatever, right? However, I have been very tempted to start converting all of the stuff that we've generated thus far to Axe because I got the physical books. I've been looking through the judge's journal. Really is that good. It
It's
really
pretty
is.
good.
It's really actually that good. And but on the other hand, I know how to play OD&D, and so it's always the which one do you go with? But the hope is that we get the world made, and then we can campaign in it for a bit, and then I'm my initial thought was actually to do what I did with Jungleberg, which was to hand off some patron and like do play by post faction play the way that I did last summer, because that was like the best gaming I ever ran and I loved it a lot. And I'm on record as saying I kind of regret ditching it for a Braunstein focus, because I don't know, I got better gaming when I was more 4Xy, when I was more crunchy, when I was more like care about the minutia of player actions. Jungleberg was a more fun game, and when I tried to revamp it and restart it with a looser Braunstein mindset, it sucked. It was just not as fun. So I think there's something there. But my hope is that once the game gets going, that we can start seeing some other people run, because as it stands right now, my IRL gaming group has 2 DMs. I play in his game, and he has his own campaign world and his own rule set that he has been, like, similar to how you say, like, your 5th Ed, Axe, whatever mashup. So our buddy has been basically house ruling and tweaking 2nd edition since we were in 8th grade, and running in pretty much the same world the entire time. So I'm not going to get him to run in my world, because he's got his own thing. It's wonderful. I love playing in his game.
Yeah.
And none of my other players are, as it stands, I don't think any of them are interested in running, but I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can change that if they have a strong grasp of the world and of the mechanics of the game, that I can start seeing more of that happen, because I do like playing. I do like being a player sometimes. I don't feel like the forever GM woes, because I really love game mastering. But I don't know. I kind of want to share. It's like I really love being a dungeon master, and I want to share that joy with the other players. I want them to experience the delight that is running the game. And so I'm kind of hoping that if we have a shared world that we're all very familiar with, they might be more open to trying it.
That's
When
I think I'm starting to see that a little bit with this gods thing, because they're doing things that I've never seen them do as players, and they're thinking about the world in ways that I've never seen them think about the world as players, because it's like a different perspective when you have that much control over how things shake out.
I think I need some guidance then, because if you guys are doing this right, like, so every time I've had a patron player in my games, it's been some guy who I know who doesn't play D&D, and he's just like sending me orders to like mess with all of my actual like players. The players themselves, they just like to get the ruby. That's their thing. And so I need some guidance on how to encourage people to step up to DM or to take on like one of these roles. What would you suggest to like give them that authority? Because whenever I say, "Hey guys, who wants to run a game in this setting?" they say, "Oh, well, I don't know the world. I don't want to mess it up. You've put so much work into creating this thing. Like, I don't feel like I have the authority to do that." What do you guys suggest?
I think that's the beauty of it in like a joint created setting. They know just as much about it as I do. So the fear of messing it up, well, I mean, they're the ones that created this town. Like they're not gonna mess it up. I'm the one who will mess it up. Like I'm always worried when I'm running a town that someone else created. I'm like, I did this the other day. I was running the Inca inspired, or I think they're Inca inspired town or Mayan inspired town. And I was like, man, I do not know what he has here, but I'm just going to go with it. And I lied to a player and told them that we were going to resurrect their cleric, but the NPCs did not resurrect them. They made him into a zombie. And so I was like, this is pretty like Aztec, right? This is the thing they would do. But it went well. We got the vibe down. But anyway, like when players create the setting, like they're not worried about messing it up. So I think it's inspiring confidence is a big thing. Just making sure the players know that, yeah, we're going to mess up little things, but it's fine. It's a jointly created setting. No one cares. It'll be okay. We'll move past it. And
Um,
go ahead.
oh, say, are you did you finish your thought, or did I interrupt you?
No, I finished. I was gonna, yeah, no, please go on. I was gonna say something very stupid, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. I learned. I still have not managed to get my players to DM, but I have gotten them to take on fairly significant patron roles where they do big things. So with Jungleberg, I didn't have any patrons that were not active players in the campaign. So we were doing like 1-to-1 time, stable of characters, Broasar style, and most of the players at the table also controlled a major faction leader or faction in the game world, and they were submitting weekly orders to me. And so like, and sometimes they have to wear multiple hats, where like, oh, today I'm an adventurer and I'm going to kill orcs, but I am the orc player. Like, when I walk away from the table today, I'm going to be going to look at my resources to submit orders for these same orcs. And so they kind of have to, and I actually think that's a really useful thing, because it teaches an important skill of the game master, which is not to pick sides, but whenever you're in the driver's seat of a given character, to always act in that character's best interests, right? So when I'm Big Chief Guacamole, the warlord of the orcs, I gotta be making sure that I do what's best for the orcs. But then when I step away and I'm sitting down at the table as Dave, the level 2 fighter, I got to be ready to behead those very same orcs, because it's in my character's best interests. And that is exactly like what you're doing as a game master when you're running all these other different factions and figures. The other thing I think that could probably help is there is regardless of how you feel about the system or the aesthetics of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, they have a book called Broodmother Sky Fortress. It is an adventure by the blogger Jeff Rientz. And in the second half of the book is, like, the first half is the adventure, which is very gonzo. You have, imagine a centaur with the head of a hammerhead shark and the lower half of an elephant instead of a horse. Like giants, these giant shark-headed monsters in a flying castle that attack your campaign world. That's the premise of the adventure, so it's already very over the top. But the second half is kind of a greatest hits of his blog, where he has a whole bunch of game mastering advice, and like, here's 20 questions. You don't need to build a comprehensive history of the architecture movements in your campaign world, but you do need to know where the nearest Type H treasure hoard is, and where is the nearest gladiator pits where fighters can do combat for money. Like, these like very simple questions that take a lot of the pressure off of world building. And one of the things that he says, both in the adventure itself, which is a very destructive and over the top adventure, but it's also also in the articles in the back of the book, is to hold the world loosely and be very ready to blow it all up and destroy everything. And like, oh, the players are really invested in this city and I don't want anything bad to happen to it. No, if the actions of the world or the actions of the players would lead to that city getting nuked off the face of the earth and they have to bail and go to a different side of the continent, then that's what it's got to be. Having that very open mind to everything just disappearing, everything getting destroyed. To like draw a Game of Thrones comparison, no character has plot armor like that.
Right.
That, if you have that mindset as a game master, your players will become accustomed to it, and then when they're put in the seat of control, whether as a patron or as a game master, I think they'll be more conditioned and ready to pull the trigger on things that they might otherwise have narrative or emotional aversions to pulling the trigger on.
I think
Yeah,
that's a really good
I don't
point.
think
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think they get it. Like, I just make this up as I go, right? Like, they're like, oh, well,
None of it's real.
this is this,
None of
right?
this is
This is
real.
a very special town. And, like Mike said that lady was, she was running that shopkeep or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I just made that up in the moment. I think you guys got a little bit of a taste of that when we were playing Mothership the other day. It was like, I was just saying stuff and I was like, I don't know, maybe that's not right. I just made that up. It's not.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
permanent.
You
Um,
see this in Vice in Apocalypse World as well, where it's just like everything should be in your crosshairs as a game master. You should be willing to remove or destroy anything if it is the right move in that moment.
I think you're absolutely correct about this. And I also think it's something that new game masters or like people who focus on world building, like world builders, world crafters, I think a lot of them mess that up because I think a lot of people become very attached to their setting when they run it and they're excited to
Mm.
introduce their setting to their players, but they don't realize that they're also introducing the players to their setting
Right.
and
They're gonna
people are less
scramble it.
willing. Right. And people are a little bit less willing or trepidatious to run a dynamic setting if that means that the city that you've thought so hard about, that you have a political structure for, that you have like 20 NPCs, that you have motivations and plots for, you have like so much stuff in that city, like you don't know if it's going to survive player contact. Like players
If
are
I
so
Can you bring
wanted
up
to
volatile.
preserve the game state, if I wanted to preserve the world as I intended it, I would write a book. I would not be playing
Can
a
you bring up
game with player
Subdeacon's
input.
post there so we can address that?
Oh,
Because I feel
yes.
like what he's saying here. I feel like my players would lose interest if they knew how much I make up on the spot and how many tables I use. This is an issue with the culture in gaming right now. Because if you talk about on X, like, I just use random tables, I make it up. The comment section will just be filled with like, you're a bad dungeon master. And to me, I'm like, I think you got it. That's backwards and upside down, because if you've written out this entire world and you've made all of this structure, you're the bad dungeon master because you have this idea of everything in your head of what it is. But when you explain it to the players, that's not going to translate. Everything's going to be lost, and they're going to have their own vision of what the world is. And if everything is so cemented, then how much impact can the players actually have?
And I'm not that averse to having a really well developed and like carefully designed world. It's just what I have a problem with is a carefully designed future, right? The
I like
timeline of
that.
your world needs to be uh, uncertain. But everything that happened in the past, like, and there's lots of players, myself included, who really enjoy getting to play in a world with deep stakes and like, and this is one of the reasons that we're doing the Dawn of Worlds thing. Is in the first age, each round is 10,000 years of history. And so, like, the world is now very old, and there's these deep civilizations and these, like, very ancient conflicts. And I like having that sort of stuff in place. I just never want it to be impacting the decisions that I make from like a meta narrative level, right? If I'm a player character or a dungeon master, I'm still trying to just I'm just trying to act according to the motivations of the characters and the motivations of the world, and not trying to preserve any kind of stasis, right? Not trying to keep things the way that I wrote them. It's the whole enjoyment is seeing how it will change over time.
Yeah. And Mike, you're totally right. Like whenever I say anything about using random tables, I have people that will like super straw man me and say like, she only uses random tables. Her games are all random. Like that's not even like a real game. And it's like, okay, I don't think you listened to me, which is fine, whatever. But like, I made a meme once that I didn't post because I was like, I'm gonna get so much pushback for this, and I don't want to deal with it. But it's like the bell curve meme where you have the guy at the center of the bell curve who's like, encounters should be planned and meticulous, and random encounters are a waste of time, right? And then you have the like real dumb guy on the low end of the bell curve that's like dice go burr, and then you have the enlightened guy on the other end saying random encounters allow you to learn things about the setting on the fly and create like plot hooks, and they add so much value to a game. Or
Yeah, I
something.
think D
I
and D,
remember.
this
So,
hobby is filled
yeah.
with midwits. Like the midwit meme is like,
And
it's
I have to
perfect.
wonder. I don't think that. I think that there's a. I have to assume that a lot of the people who insist on like a meticulously planned whatever, I have to assume they don't play games, or at the very least, many of them don't, because there is Alexander McCrease has talked about this before, that there's a significant portion of the RPG hobby of people who buy books and read them and never run them, and
Yeah.
never play them. They buy adventure modules and they never run them, and they just read them for their own enjoyment. And I can't
like doing that.
like this whole like narrative, like you have to have everything planned thing. It's not coming from the story gamers, because the story gamers, all the trendiest story games right now, beat you in the face and say, don't plan anything, roll the dice and find out what happens. Don't plan anything, roll the dice
That's
and find
true.
out what happens. And so it's not like your Forge like story gamers. It's not your
Right.
vampire players who are doing this. It is a very specific subset of D&D player that I have to just assume doesn't actually play very much.
D&D philosophers, maybe?
Well, or people
Theory
who,
crafters, yeah.
yeah,
Theory
exactly. It's,
crafters,
yeah, people who in like 2016, the D&D subreddit was just full of DMs posting their ideas of things that they never have and never will run. Like, it's just overwhelming amounts of there's a lot of people with ideas for campaigns and no execution.
And now the D&D subreddit is entirely people asking for social advice.
Which
But
that's
here
just
we
the,
are.
that's just the first episode of Random Table. Don't play with
But you know
weirdos.
what?
Don't
You
play
know
with
what?
weirdos.
The people asking for social advice on D&D subreddit, they actually do play games. I'm just saying. And I don't think like I'm superior to anybody for playing games, whatever. You know?
I do.
I do. I think I've
Okay. But I do play a lot. And I don't know. It's very weird that people, man, I will say, I went through like the phase, so I understand the mindset. I understand the mindset of like, you know, putting random things in your setting, random encounters in your setting is a waste of people's time, because I used to think that. I was definitely like, I think if you look at my Twitter account and you like search random encounters, you will probably find stuff from like 2020 or something, or 2021, that's like, random encounters are really dumb. You should like, it's a waste of people's time, and people's time is valuable. And that was me not giving them a fair shake, I think.
Well,
Or
like the
me-
Black
that-
Lodge
that was
guys, their
me.
first contact
Yeah.
with the Bro SR was them yelling at the Bro SR for using random
Yeah.
encounters. And they've turned around on that. They've come around on random
They-
encounters.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Harmony, I wonder, when you were sending out those tweets about how random tables are a waste of players' time, how much time had you used with random tables at that point?
I'd used them before. I don't remember how much I'd used them before, but more, I think it didn't really. I don't think I was using them to the fullest extent. I wasn't, the first time I was using them back in like maybe 2018, 2019, I wasn't really asking myself, why are these wolves here? Why did my players just encounter a Yeti? What is this dragon doing? And I wasn't really using them to the full extent because I wasn't asking those questions. And I was thinking, you know, these are distractions from the main plot. I want the plot to advance. I don't want distractions from that plot. But that was the wrong outlook. I don't agree with that anymore. And so I totally understand where they're coming from, because I used to think that way. But I mean, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's something my thinking has really evolved on over the past 5 years.
You know, for me, I oscillate on a lot of gaming philosophies. Like, I used to be a story gamer 1000%, crafting these narratives, and I got burnt out on it. And then I switched more to like letting the random table dictate what happens in the world and the motivations of these monsters. And I used to do like stop time games, and then I was like, oh no, stop time is the worst. And then I switched to 1-to-1. It's like only 1-to-1. And then now recently I'm like, oh, you know, maybe a cliffhanger or two here and there aren't so
Yeah.
bad. So
Um,
it's weird.
Yeah, I think After running 1-to-1 for a year in my Godstein game, and I plan to run it continuously now. Like I plan to stay with it. I understand more like what it does to games. It
Mm,
takes a game and makes it into a living world. And if you want the world to be the main character, and if you want your game to feel like Second Life or like Animal Crossing, World of Warcraft, whatever, where time moves regardless of what the players do, then 1-to-1 is just a massive boon to the game.
yeah, it
But
does
if
that.
you want a story that focuses on Sam and Frodo taking the ring to Mordor, and you want to tell a specific story and you want it to be about the characters, then 1-to-one's not going to help your game. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I've been
anyway,
running a pause time game right now as we've been doing this God's game play by post. We've been doing a pause time game of Ultraviolet Grasslands, and that game measures time in weeks, where in a given session you'll on average cover anywhere from 6 to 15 weeks of in-game time, because it's about
Mm,
like these huge long caravan treks over this vast wasteland. And the pause time thing, it, it works for what we are doing with it, which is to say an extremely casual beer and pretzels drop-in game about this trundling merchant caravan. And
mm,
the world doesn't really exist outside of it, except for what is encountered, and everything is generated live at the table with random encounters. And so it's like hopping on to like a roguelike, where you sit down and you play. You don't need to necessarily think about what was going on last time. You just worry about what's going to happen this week, and people kind of come and go. And but it is a very different experience, and I will say a less dynamic experience than when we were doing 1-to-1 time last summer.
and
do you
I
think Godstein works with pause time? Which would be better? Having like time continue to move, or do you think like you're like, okay, we pause, we jump, 10 years, or I don't know, like what do you guys think?
so I'm actually still getting ready to publish a whole a small book on the Godstein model, and I'm going to say that I put like there's like 2 pages in this about like why you need to have a continuous timekeeping. You might use a different scale than 1-to-1, but you need to have like a continuous timekeeping in it, because this is a game where you are likely to jump around in different points in the world, and you might have different players running, and you need to have the timing like absolutely consistent between players. So that's what I said. If you change the model that I have been doing enough, then sure, you can make it work probably. But like,
Mm,
I wouldn't do it with anything but 1-to-1, just because like the way I have everything set up, like the gods get an action once a month. The we have the elections every month. We have like different events that happen at the same place. We have multiple weekly games that take place on different parts of the world. Like it has to have the same time scale. So I definitely recommend 1-to-1 for Godstein games. And also, I want to kind of go to a few chat messages.
yeah,
Patty
the chat's
actually
been
had
popping
something
off.
here. Yeah, he said, I got upset one time for misprepping. I've been running off the top of my head for the longest, but I've been using tables more and more. Yeah, there's nothing that will get you to prep less more than prepping an entire like dungeon, and the players get distracted by something else, and they you know. Um,
I think if you're gonna prep a bunch of stuff and then have the players not encounter it, it has to be the kind of sandbox prep where, yeah, you may not have used it now, but I can just put like I have basically unlimited storage in Google Docs. I can just pull that out later, maybe even
yeah.
in a different campaign, and you just write everything down, and then you never know when it's going to be useful.
Yeah.
I do like the Patty comment here. I don't mind running pre-written modules for like right after the one you pulled out. That people still like roller coasters, and I think there is something to that. In that
Mm,
running a like a conventional Call of Cthulhu module, it's kind of railroady. You kind of know where things are going. but you can just kind of you can engage with it, and I would say it's I'll concede to oh, Gelatinous Rube. When we had our one shots episode, and he's like, well, a one shot is really just a board game. I will say that if you're one shotting a conventional Call of Cthulhu scenario, yeah, it's kind of like halfway between an RPG and a board game, and it's its own experience that is enjoyable for its own set of characteristics. But it's not a maximally enjoyable over the longest possible period of time way to play RPGs.
I mean, I'm running a module for you guys. Another
Yeah,
bug hunt is just
I'm having
it's
a
a
lovely
railroad.
time. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've had fun running modules in the past, and I don't think all of them are railroads. Like, I think it's wrong to equate modules with railroads, because that's not right. There are some modules that are actually very wide open and are lists of points of interest. This is what's happening here. This is what's happening here. This is this faction motivation. This is this faction motivation. Like, there are modules that do that very, very well, actually. And I think I've said before, my favorite. I have a lot of modules I really like. My favorite D&D modules of all time, they're weird ones. I really like Isle of Dread, which has that, by the way. Isle of Dread is not it's not a railroad. There's like just different stuff going on everywhere on the island. And my other favorite,
it's a sandbox the same way that Keep on the Borderlands is, right?
yeah, it is.
They were the basic.
It's an exploration one. Yeah.
Starter modules.
But let's see. We have a lot of actually good stuff happening in the chat right now. K Dolo said, I stopped running fantasy games because I can't bear to prep a dungeon and I can't make them up on the spot competently. Yeah,
Appendix A. Get Appendix A. Just do it.
That's one way. But yeah, no, I understand that. Sometimes I'm like struggling to like, oh God, my players found a cave. They're going in the cave. Do I randomize this? What do I do? But a lot of times, like, you can, I don't know. I've gotten better at making things up on the spot, but it's definitely a skill.
I've come to appreciate wilderness exploration and like city games because as the years have gone on, I don't mind playing in a dungeon crawl, but even then, I think dungeons are like the least interesting part of Dungeons and Dragons. It's like the thing that I care about the least is like going through some subterranean maze and looking for treasure. I'm like, no, I want to be hunting monsters in the wilderness or like fighting the Thieves Guild and secret cults in the back alley. Like all of that just is all my favorite Appendix N fiction basically all takes place in like the cities. I don't know. I just don't care about dungeons that much.
See, I totally disagree with you, and I love dungeons. I think dungeons are like the coolest thing in like any RPG. I play them to dungeon crawl, and I always put a mega dungeon in every world. Even like the Godstein worlds, I will put a mega dungeon in. And you know what? Every one of my players, Night Danger, agrees with you. And so it's
Nice.
kind of become a joke now. They're like, "Oh, what mega dungeon are you going to throw in here, Harmony, for us to ignore?"
Yeah, to never touch.
I put dungeons in my game because I know my players like them. I do that for them.
Yeah.
And then I have the machinations of horrible factions back in town waiting to take all of their money from them. Because yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't understand the appeal.
We've gotten so far off topic, and that's okay. Like, this is kind of
I want to know. Let's circle back to
Yeah.
the running gods here. Way back in the chat, at like 9:40. Yeah, 9:43.
all right. 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, I've
Is
been
it
waiting for an
still
opportunity
there?
to bring it up here. From Tredion, has there been any rivalry developed during world building, and how do you deal with them? So I want to know, how do you handle conflict between gods? Because I have to assume that your gods aren't losers and do take swipes at each other.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. I'm hoping this happens more in Godstein too, and I'm actually putting stuff up to incentivize conflict. I'm putting up very important world landmarks that are just going to be there, like magical anomalies that exist in the world, beast layers, things like that, for players to fight over. But also, I my players know that after the world creation, there will be a case system. We're going to have the world creation 4X game, and then we are going to have, then the case system is going to come down. And that's going to incentivize conflict, and I'm really excited about that. But
Sorry,
as far as
what do you mean by
adjudicating,
that?
yeah, I'll tell you. So,
Please do.
right. So I have this mechanic that I'm throwing in this time. Every god is going to come up with an artifact, right? And my gods use a resource called mana. When they have 10 mana, they can do a major action in the world. They can erupt a volcano. They can pull a mountain out of the earth. They can do something massive if they have 10 mana. Now, they have these artifacts that they make, and the artifacts are legendary quality items in the world, right? And basically every god has one. And I'm going to steal them from the gods. And when they don't have their artifact, their mana cap will be 7. They won't be able to enact the major actions in the world. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like really fun with these relics, because I'm going to have 5 gods get reliquaries, and the reliquaries will protect their relic, and they will have nothing to worry about, and those gods can get to 10 mana. And the reliquaries will be built for the one with the most advanced technology, because we have a tech system. The god that their people owns the most territory, they will build their reliquary from the spoils of war. Then there is going to be a reliquary built from the player who harnessed the most magic from magical anomalies in the world. And then there will be a reliquary built for the god that wins the diplomatic victory, which will come down to a vote amongst the gods for who should win that, because I can't think of another way to determine diplomacy other than a vote. And then there will be an out of character vote for the player who played their role the best. And that one will be given from unseen forces, and that will be the case system. Those 5 gods will be able to enact major change in the world that other gods can't, because I'm stealing the rest of the artifacts. And I'm going to do 2 things with those. 5 of them, because there are 15 players, so 5 of the artifacts will be safe in their reliquaries. 5 of them will be taken from the gods, and they will be put in random hexes in the world, and that will be flavored as an adventurer was given the item, and then he was killed by something, and it was lost. And then 5 of them I am giving to other players at random without telling the person who they belong to. So there are going to be 5 artifacts who, like, I'm going to roll a random player, and I'm going to whisper them and say, hey, one of your followers gave you the artifact of the death god. It is up to you what you do with it.
Leverage.
And so, yeah, so that's one thing I'm going to be doing to incentivize conflict, is rewarding it via reliquaries, and that should provide like a big push towards conflict and towards towards drama. That's all I want. I want maximum drama in this world, because drama is interesting.
No, that's awesome. I'm curious, is when 2 gods in your current, like you used when Godstein won, when if you have 2 gods that are at cross interests, do they have to win the election for that turn to get one over on the other, to like take action against each other, or is there any system wherein they can act against each other without winning the big pot for that turn?
Yes, there is. So they can use mana to do like divine actions as well, but also they can they do have standard like troop movements as well, so they can attack each other once every 3 months. And there is a combat system. It's fairly rudimentary, and I redesigned it from the ground up in the next game. So I'm
that's awesome.
yeah. But yes, no, they can absolutely attack each other. And Jonathan Frost, thank you so much for the $5. Do I have a current favorite god in the game? Well, I'm kind of between campaigns, because Godstein 1 is ending, and the Divine Council 4X is currently in the preparation phase, as in they're drafting domains tomorrow. But my favorite gods in Godstein 1, it was a tie. One player got the Light and Trickery domain, and he interpreted he interpreted it as the god of entertainment, and I loved that god. It was Teogoron, the god of wrestlers, and
That's
that one was
amazing.
so much
That's
fun
so good.
because oh god, it was great because he was like RPing in the text chat, and he would always like you could tell when he was RPing as God because he used caps lock, and he'd be like. He's like, I want to use my divine action to grab the folding chair and smack it over another god's head. So he was really fun. There was that one. And I also really, really loved, oh gosh, the god. Okay, player got Infernal and Prophecy, and he interpreted that as the god of anxiety. I loved that one. Oh
All right.
no, we
Oh, no,
lost
we've
we
lost
lost Mike.
Mike.
Well,
All right.
that's okay. We're the stars of the show today anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to take
Yeah.
an opportunity here, just to humor Dunder here. Once again, further back.
What did he say?
He said, "Oh, there, 9:59. What was the spider-looking thing on Night Danger's map?"
What was that? Can you bring that back up? Because I
so
saw that too.
I can't pull things onto the stage.
Oh
You have
yeah,
to-
that's right. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
meant the like weird,
right here.
horrible. No, yeah, okay, maybe that.
Oh wait, which one was what? What were you thinking?
I was thinking the thing that I saw in my thing under the screen on StreamYard that had like this I think it looked like a Grell in a top hat.
I'm gonna. That's a story that I would
Okay.
like to tell before the night is up.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I think if is Dunder still in? Can he tell me? Is this what he was referring to?
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I think he's
We have
gone.
Mike back.
This is the epicenter of all civilization. Basically, there's 5 cities in this one hex, and that's probably where where most of the campaign is gonna center around. But let's talk about the spider. Let's talk about this guy right here. So
That's
this
what
is
it was.
this was the
I don't know
first
how I got to talk
one of the
about
first
that.
pieces of AI slop art that got generated for this campaign. You remember I mentioned earlier that having the players take control of gods has brought out behaviors and traits in them that I've never seen before. So my brother hates horror like a lot. Like it's his least favorite genre. He does not enjoy it. Every year I have to bully him into watching a scary movie with me, and I can only do it once a year on Halloween. He got actually upset with me for making him watch The Void. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It's kind of a tentacly Cthulhu monster horror movie. He hates horror. And then, like 3 rounds in, I think 3 or 4 rounds into this, he's playing a chaotic god of death, and he makes the first sentient race in the world. And it's these guys right here that, like an alien face hugger, attach themselves and basically integrate with other living things and start to shapeshift and chimerically modify them. Bring it back up. There's
I'm
more.
sorry.
There's more.
Oh no.
And so the idea being, so instead of a list of fixed traits, we created a random table to generate these various monstrosities. The idea being that the older they get, the more that they eat, the more forms they can take, and you start getting these hybrid splices of like mixed body parts and combination whatever. He made them very antisocial. They don't get along with each other. If 2 of them encounter each other in the wild, they're more likely to kill each other than anything else. And where the real tour de force, as he said, there's like 5 or 6 of the biggest ones in the world, and they're a dragon level monster, so like 18 hit dice, whatever. And he sends me this. My brother, who hates horror, who hates monster like body horror and gore and all that, he sends me this and says, "This is what I want to drop on the table."
I'm no longer lukewarm on AI. I'm taking a hard stance now. Let's just ban it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
done with it. I don't.
We hate it
It's,
now.
We hate it now.
I've never seen him do anything like this, and I really think that it's because. And here, I'll just jump to. Yeah,
Thank you.
jump away from that image. You can pull away the screen for now here. we have I think the experience of engaging with the horrific from the side of not a game master, but I created it, I made it, and I made it for the purpose of like to send it against other people. And it's like it opened up an ability for him to enjoy a different side of the game, a different type of fiction, a different flavor, and a different feeling that he would not have otherwise enjoyed. Because anytime I pull stuff like that out at the table, he's like, oh, that's gross, why would you do this to me? Nope, I don't like that, kill it with fire. But as soon as he was behind the screen, so to speak, he got to engage with a side of the hobby that he would not have otherwise gotten to enjoy. And I think that's something that's really cool about the Gods game, is that it opens up, it's like a little taste of DMing. It's a little taste of the world building and the getting to be the bad guy, because that's my favorite part about being the game master, is that I get to be the bad guy.
K Dolo says it reminds him of the Umga in Star Control 2. Did either of you play Star Control 2? Do you know what the Umga are? Okay,
No.
they're these like bubble gum. They look like chewed up bubble gum, but like their sense of morality is not good versus evil. It's funny or not funny. Like
Yeah.
good is replaced by funny and evil is
Yeah.
replaced by not funny.
Okay, I like
it's a whole
that.
thing. Yeah, right?
That's incredible. No,
I'm sorry. Somebody mentioned Star Control 2 and
of
like
course you have to indulge. Yeah,
yeah.
but that's I think something that it's worth the experiment of handing over the gods to your players, even just so that they can kind of, and you can do this with patrons too, but I think gods it's more dramatic because they feel almost less personal than if I hand you an evil wizard, there's like that humanity still kind of lingering there. But if I hand you, I'm like, yeah, you're the anthropomorphized representation of bad headaches. That there's like a layer of separation that makes it easier for somebody to explore that side
Yeah.
of the hobby.
I have a question. Do either of you have a pet bird?
No, I do have some pigeons that live outside of my window. Can you hear them?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm up on the 6th floor, and
I
they
understand.
nest up here. I don't mind them. I kind of
Oh,
like it because they're always
hey,
like busy, but it's not fair for you.
the creator of that horrible monstrosity is in the chat.
Oh
Seizure
yeah,
Boy
Seizure Boy.
337. That's my brother there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says there they were originally just going to be regular old shapeshifters, and I guess the muse took over and did something really truly awful.
I
But
yeah, that was I agree that that was really and truly awful. No, I've actually loved I've dogged you on it, but I really loved hearing about your campaign, Night
I was
Danger,
like,
for
can
sure.
I just
Yeah.
brag just about one last little thing before we start?
Yeah.
I feel like the show's starting to wind down. If we bring the images up one more time,
Oh, is
I
there?
just want to
Yeah.
flex. I just want to flex. Subdeacon K in the chat has been helping minimize the presence of AI slop in our game by drawing art for us. So here we have, these are the frog people I mentioned earlier who tried to go to space. We have this is an avatar of an evil god. We've got another avatar of an evil god. More frog people. Actually, I did this.
It's just Pepe.
I did this one. But
I like that frog.
It's
shapeshifter.
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, these guys are shapeshifters that try to lure you into the giant labyrinth. We've got dwarves and just this is probably one of my favorite ones. Is this one and this one together? At the end of the first age, I gave everybody a whole bunch of points to just put down terrain because I was like, the map hasn't changed enough, and people are already starting to get excited about like races and empires and wars, and I want to have some more terrain happen first. So I threw out a stimulus package of points that could only be spent on terrain, and the subdeacon there, made a canyon with a mountain range in the bottom of it. Like the canyon is so deep that the bottom has a mountain range in it, and a levitating mountain that spirals in a mountain-shaped pit in the middle of the desert. It's more AI slop. Yeah, it's been it's so great to see things that I describe. Like for this one, I told him, I said, hey, draw me a dwarf, but if he was like kind of Greek. And sure enough, we have Greek dwarves, and it's been such a special thing seeing the like I mentioned, the other guy started writing some of his orders in like a alliterative Anglo-Saxon verse, or these big long world building blurbs and drawings, and like the creative side of it. Even if I'm at the point now where even if I didn't actually get to play a campaign in this world, the act of the shared world building and the art has just been it's been really great. It's
I I
yeah.
think that's what this is at the core of
Oh,
it.
somebody
Is,
asked
Mhm.
to go back to problem libtard. That's
Oh no, what was
that's
that?
that this is one of the
Sorry.
this is one of the earliest depictions of Vinwode, the god of mirth and madness. Not the earliest depiction, but one of the earliest. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's
Um,
just lots of
I
lots of
I
good
think
stuff.
I think that's what this is at the heart of it is group world building, like a structured way to build a world together. And I want to go to Mike here, who is Mike. I'm so sorry, Night Danger and I dragged you into this,
Oh, hold on.
but
I have
No,
another
I'm
player
here.
in
I'm here
here.
for it. I'm
I
here
have
for it.
another player in the chat here, W. Ambrose.
okay.
Here, if you pull up his comment, he RP'd so hard he built a lyre. Like he built one of those like bowed Anglo-Saxon lyres.
Mm.
In
That's
his
awesome.
workshop. And so yeah, we're just yeah.
Your
I don't
players
know.
are so supportive of you here.
Well,
You know where my players are? They're not here. They're at a group. They're playing Magic together tonight. They're all
yeah.
playing
Well,
Magic.
I basically told them that I'm coming on to brag about how much better they are than the Living Earth guys, because the Living Earth guys didn't have the constitution to actually stick it out and build a world and then play in it. Like they were like, oh, this is like
Get wrecked.
kind of like this is taking a long time for anything interesting to happen. It's like you just like I don't know, high time preference maybe. They've got tablet kid brains and they just can't keep up. You know.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm friends with the Living Earth guy.
I am too.
guys,
I'm
I
in
can't say
Living Earth.
anything. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
playing in a Living Earth game right
I
now.
don't
Like
want to
it's.
say anything bad about the Living Earth guys.
I'm
Yeah, we
making
like
fun
them,
of
but they're nerds.
I'm making
Yeah.
fun of them from the inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that this is just group world building at the core. You better not barf in my lap. If you barf in my lap, you are so done. Stop acting like you're going
The
to.
jump was
All right.
traumatizing.
I know. But Mike, have you ever done anything like this? Tried any group world building or know of any other structures for it? Because the Godsteins,
Well,
what
I
we've got.
try.
Mm-hmm.
No, I try, but the players are like, my players are normies. You know, the idea of taking control of a world that I built is just too much for them. They're like, I don't know, I don't want to mess anything up. I don't know enough. And I'm like, okay, I just made that up 5 minutes ago, so it's fine. You know, they're more like a lot of the guys that I play with. Their first experience with Dungeons and Dragons is me DMing for them within the past like year or two, and so no, they don't want to take control as the dungeon master. They want to experience the game. I'm trying to break them of that expectation, but
I have 2 players in my 15-player game right now who have never played any RPG ever in any other group, and this is their first exposure. Is
That's quite the exposure.
4X Godstein world building. One of them is brand new for Godstein 2. She's never done anything like this, and she's a little bit nervous, but I think she's gonna do really well because she's been playing Cosmic Encounter with me, and that lady is diabolical.
Cosmic is a
she'll
great
be, she'll
like,
be
teaching
fine.
tool for this kind of
Yeah.
like scheming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one, he's like, he started like 6 months ago in Godstein 1, and he's been at first. Oh gosh, at first he was a little trepidatious about it, but now he like messaged me recently and was like, I didn't expect to be this into it, but I think about this game all the time.
good. Being the greatest dungeon
Yeah.
master on the earth is a blessing and a curse because,
Yeah.
you know, my players are like,
Smart.
we could just never do it as good as you, Mike. You're just the best there ever was. And so, no.
Yeah. I think that it's there's something to also the there is a time preference variable where by making it take a long time, you give things time to percolate to something that in either a short campaign or a one shot or something, it's gonna just you get you can get I hate to be a complainer, but you can get memey, right? Like you can get kind of
Yeah.
shitpost outcomes in your world. But if you say, hey, this is gonna take us probably a good 6 to 8 months to finish, and then we're going to be campaigning in it, and so like just try to take it seriously. I think that was one of the big things that I said when we started this game, this project, was I said, please just no meme results. Like, don't do obvious pop culture references, don't do like pun names, like just try to engage with it reasonably seriously, because I think we'll all be happier with the end result, even if it's incomprehensible to outsiders and like kind of convoluted. It's gonna feel more, things that you cherish more and that you put more effort into generally are gonna turn out nicer. In the Yeah, people
That
like
was
movies better than meme compilations.
that was 100% a problem I ran into, was the tendency of players to insert memes, and I couldn't really figure out why this kept being a problem, why it was bugging me, because like some of my players were really into the memes, and some of them were like, let's keep this a little more serious, guys. And I think what I've come to understand is that, and you know who pointed this out? Um, B-Dubs pointed this out on Dundermoose, and he was exactly right about this. But what I've come to understand is that the memes come from a lack of confidence in world building. The memes come from
Mm.
people who want to participate and they want to have fun, but they feel a little bit scared to put their genuine creativity in the world. And so instead, they will do memes because they're easy and people will laugh. And, you can make Muppets or something, haha, Muppets, and people will laugh and have a good time with it, and they will get the positive reaction without having to really put themselves out there. And I think
Mm.
that that is a stage that a lot of group world builds have to work through, is
Well,
the lack of confidence to put in something genuine.
and
And I think the more you stick with it, the more the memes go away. And I'm very sorry. No, actually, go on.
I'll say, to circle
Yeah.
back all the way to like the first episode of Random Table. I think this is one of the things that's really worth it, to try and cultivate a consistent group over a long period of time, because the guys that I'm playing this with right now, some of them I've known and have been playing D&D with for about 15 years, and then others I have known for at least 5 to 6 years, and we do things together outside of D&D. Like, we do barbecues, we go to church together, we and that kind of, when you have that those close friendships, those just real stable relationships, it becomes much easier to feel safe getting sincere. And if I've become close enough with a person that I can really sincerely express my own like personal struggles, and like I can have them support me in a real friendship kind of way, then it's much easier for me to risk the embarrassment of taking my schizophrenic monstrous deity seriously and engaging with it seriously, because that's, I think, the real wonderful thing with like the whole like clubhouse model, is building deep and serious relationships that spread to beyond the walls of the clubhouse and
Yeah.
beyond the boundaries of the game, to just actually have friends, to have really good friends. Your games will improve the stronger the friendship is.
That
Um,
is an amazing note to end on. And so
I
I'm
believe in the
gonna
power of love.
I'm gonna ruin it with super chats.
Yeah!
So, Jonathan Frost, thank you so much for the $5. Questing Beast had a video about a collaborative world building TTRPG. Can't recall the name, but it exists. I believe it is Microscope. I actually looked into Microscope for inspiration for the Godstein, and ultimately I found it good. It's its good own thing, but it isn't quite what I was trying to do, and I ended up not using a whole lot from it, sadly. Even though I did really like it, but the time jumps were a little bit not quite what I was doing. But yeah, I think you're thinking of Microscope, but I'm not really sure.
I
'cause
want to
haven't
try
seen every single
Microscope.
quiz.
I think
Yeah.
that it would be a nice way to start a game.
Getting
I
called a
think so
loser by my
too.
own family in the chat right now. I don't know how I
Oh
feel about that.
no. Night Danger's family is half the audience today. Night Danger, you're more popular than me today. That's okay.
Yeah, well,
Facts.
it's because Twitter's
Yeah.
down, so we couldn't really promote the show all that much.
I know.
But I could drop in in our group chat. I could say, hey, I'm going to be
Yeah.
bragging about you on the internet today.
Yeah, I promoted it a little bit today, but really what it is we've kind of been doing other things. I've been mostly offline for the past month. Like I haven't been my usual addicted to Twitter self, and so I've fallen
Yeah,
off.
I haven't
things.
uploaded a video in weeks. I've just been
Alyssa-
outside in
yeah.
the sun, so
I think
Alyssa Hazel is the new RPG e-girl now. I'm falling off.
there's
That's I love her. That's mostly a joke. She's not an e-girl.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Okay, I gotta stop engaging with the chat, because I know he knows how to bait me. Seizure Boy
Oh,
knows how
no.
he knows
Oh,
how to bait me.
no.
He knows how
Don't
to get
do
a
it.
response out of me.
Right.
That's family.
Yeah. Nah, I've been mostly off Twitter for like a couple weeks now. I actually have some stuff I'm going to be uploading on YouTube in the next week from DaveCon. I was a little bit slow in doing this, but I am going to be uploading stuff from DaveCon. I had some major technical issues along the way in doing so with sound drivers. It was a pain in my butt. But anyway, I will be doing that soon. I also am still working on my booklet about this about the whole Godstein experience, guys. And do you guys have anything that you wish to promote today? I don't know.
Sometime in the past week, I did a stream. I'm finally starting to break ground on the mystery game project that I've been working on, which is less a system and more a what's the word I'm looking for? You know how like the Judge's Journal is a book that is more just about like here's how you run this type of game.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've started to work on. Is it's less like I might include a mystery adventure as an example, but it's more about talking about the actual structure of running mystery games. So it's more of an instructional project than it is a playable product. But
and I'm
Yeah.
working on a video right now talking about our Mothership game and my recent obsession with horror and mystery.
I had so
Yeah.
much fun in that.
Stay tuned.
I had a blast. It forced me to record a video admitting that immersion is real.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was good.
I watched it.
It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to continuing that game.
I cannot
as soon as
wait
possible.
to play more.
Same. I had a ton of fun with that. I didn't think I would enjoy Mothership. I actually looked into it at one point and I was like, this isn't really for me. This isn't my thing. I'm not gonna play it. And
With
then
the
like
right DM,
yeah,
anything
yeah.
can work.
Then of course Mike was like, all right guys, I'm running Mothership and you're playing in it. I'm like, well, playing Mothership. So,
Actually,
it was
Night
fun,
Danger
though. I
was
had
a little
great time.
resistant too. He was like, I don't think this system's gonna work. I was like,
I
I'm
don't think
doing
I
it
was
anyway.
resistant. I don't think I was resistant. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm happy to play in something because I just don't want to run. I run enough for my group. Anyway.
Right.
The other guy who runs in our group is on hiatus right now because he just bought a house and he's been trying to like finagle all of that. So I haven't gotten to actually play very often lately. I've been mostly running, and so it was very nice. It was very, very nice.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thank you, Night Danger, for sharing so much about your campaign. I actually really liked hearing how yours was
Thank you for
different than
being so
mine and what
enthusiastic
happened.
and supportive
And
about me sharing about my game.
That was such.
That
I
was so
sorry.
supportive.
I'm so sorry.
Is this how I sound
I
when I
hope
talk
you
about
don't
my
think.
game?
I hope you don't think I
Yes.
was serious.
No.
I was just.
Well,
giving
this
you
is
a hard
this is the
time.
one and only time you're ever gonna catch me like giving detailed details about my game on the internet. So
I hope I didn't discourage you. I was trying to give you a hard time. I apologize.
it was
if that
no,
came off.
I'm
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right. All right.
offended.
Cool. I don't know.
It was fun.
I can't
it was
tell
fun
sometimes.
to do. Oh no! If I was upset with you, I would simply leave.
Okay. And thank you, Mike, for putting up with us. I understand this was a topic that Night Danger and I had a whole lot to add on, and you were just kind of like,
I was kind of hoping that we could have gotten some
don't
stuff
know.
from Dundermoose about the deities and decrees thing that he had been doing
Yes!
with Gelatinous Rube, but
I
unfortunately,
wanted to hear about that too.
He was trolling us
unfortunately,
the whole time.
he was sitting there wiggling his toes in a hotel room, like
I didn't know that until today. That was okay. He stole the show though, so it worked. Anyway,
Yep.
thank you guys so much for sticking around with us today. I had a lot of fun, and we will. I think we should be back next month. I hope we have a little bit more time to promote next month. But anyway, thanks guys for hanging out. Have a good night.
Catch you in the next one.
good night.